Good morning, everybody. What's going on? It's Kris here, and the Real Estate Blitz. And I wanted to talk about something really quick that I think is important. You know, I had an agent come in and communicate with me, talk to me a little bit about, and it happens. It happens all the time. Talking about wanting to um, leave where they are and start something of their own. So, what does that look like? Well, a lot of people, when they first come into the business, they will join a team, or they'll join a brokerage, or they'll partner up with somebody so they can basically learn the business and have more opportunity. And I've talked about this in past videos, where I personally think that's a fantastic idea. I think it's pretty great if you're new, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with your own thing. I'm a huge fan. I think you absolutely should explore joining a team. I think it's a great way for you to kind of learn the business, learn the paperwork, learn the processes, commit to something, start looking at how does a schedule really work, what does it mean to prospect, all these things. You learn a ton from joining a team. However, for some individuals, eventually they get to a point to where they start going, man, I really would like to do something on my own. I really have this desire to try to spread my own wings and maybe start my own team or start my own business, and go from there. Now, are there pitfalls to that? Sure, absolutely. Is it scary? Yes, it can be scary. And I think that's why a lot of people, they end up leaving a team they stay too long. So let's talk about that. Me personally, through the years, I've actually told a few people, I just look at them and say, look, you really should start coming up with a plan to start your own thing, start your own business. And they're like, no, I'm never going to leave. I absolutely love this. You're the best. You've done so much for me. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. However, there does come a time when it's time for you to do something else. The best way I could equate it is, I love my children, but eventually there's going to come a time, even if it's scary, in order to really become an adult, you got to go out on your own, and it's going to suck. It's going to suck. I think anybody that's in this business, there was a point where you had to go out on your own and get a job or start a business, and you got to work, and you have all these things. You got bills, you got this, you got that. And you start, in the beginning, it really is tough. It's hard, it's challenging, but eventually you get a hold of it. So, since I just had this conversation, I sort of want to tell you my thoughts on how do you get started. If you want to leave a team, or if you want to leave a brokerage and start something that's your own, do something that you create your own true business. I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to give you 5 steps on how to go about doing it and what I think you should do. So step 1, I think you need to sit down and figure out, who am I? Who am I? I know it sounds silly. You're like, well, I know who I am, but do you? What I'm getting at is your brand. What is your brand? And I think when you first sit down and talk about who am I, you need to sit down and think about genuinely, authentically, who are you? Are you goofy? Are you extremely serious? Are you formal? I think the challenges that I see a lot of people do right now is they keep trying to be what they think a real estate agent should be. Stop trying to be what you think a real estate agent should be and start being authentically you. The reality is there's going to be people out there just like you that want to work with you. Not everybody wants to wear a suit. If you're one of those people, then don't. There's going to be people that don't want to work with agents that wear suits when they show up to their house. Not everybody wants to work with a goofball that's running around in a tank top. If that's not you, then don't do it. But authentically be you. And from figuring out who am I, that should help you create your brand, your look, your feel. Just give some recommendations when you start designing your brand. I'm a big fan of Fiverr, but that's probably a video for another time. So number 2, who are my people? So A, who am I? Number 2, who are my people? So number 2 is really about creating your avatar. That's the best way I could explain it. So depending on your market, or if you have multiple markets, I think every market has a different avatar. It could be regional, it could be city, it could be neighborhoods, right? So who's your market within that? And look, these are tough questions that people don't always want to ask, but I'm telling you, they're extremely important. So I know who I am authentically. And who are my avatars? Who are the people that would want to work with me or that I want to work with? I think that's probably even a better one. Okay, well, they're whether they have religious beliefs, Do they have political beliefs? Are they older? What's their age group roughly? What neighborhood are they in? What things are they into? Do they go out to coffee? Do they go out to this? Do they go out to that? What interests them? Who is this person that is your ideal client? And I think that's the big one. Who's your ideal client? What do they look like? What are they into? What do they do? What's their age range? What kind of, if you're looking at listings, what are their listing prices? How long have they had that home? There's a lot of questions you need to be asking because you can design and develop marketing material around that. And you can make sure that it's going to marry up with the other truth, which is who am I? So do these people marry up with who I am? And if they do, then that's going to be a really great relationship. So as you're creating marketing, as you're creating your brand, you're going to touch those individuals that are like you. So number 3, how do I find them? Now let's talk about lead generation. So I know who I am. I know who my people are. How do I find them? What's lead generation? I've done videos on this before, but I will just do a quick deep dive on this. I believe that you should always have at least 4 to 5 pipelines of marketing because there's a difference between branding and marketing. They're completely different. So where are you going to be? And based off of who you are and who your people are and where they might be, the one thing I hate hearing is, well, I just don't want to do that. Well, if that's where they are, then maybe you should do it. So a great example of this is there's this one market that's south here. If you guys don't know, it's in San Diego County, North San Diego County, mind you, and it's called Fallbrook. Fallbrook is an older community. The avatar in that community, they're usually in their late 60s, 70s, sometimes 80s, but late 60s and 70s is where they're sitting. They're sitting on a ton of freaking equity. They're getting to a point where they want to typically downsize and potentially move. Okay, well, if I'm looking for that listing and I know that's the individual, I know the demographic for that individual, how am I going to get a hold of them? Are they going to be on TikTok watching me in my sick dance moves? The answer is no. They sure aren't going to be on TikTok watching me dance and going, man, that guy can dance. I should use him as my real estate agent. That is absurd. But where are they? Well, honestly, most of these people still run landlines. They run landlines. Most of the time they're retired. They're sitting at home. They love talking to people. So guess what? In that market, you should probably cold call. That should be one of the things that you do. Where else are those people? Well, the odds are good. If you haven't noticed, they are on Facebook. They just are. So maybe you should jump on social media. Social media, in one way or another, should always be in there. What's another thing? Guess what? Those people, they always check their mail. So, direct mail. So it comes down to the market and then figuring out how do I touch the people that are in this area that are my people. So I know who I am. I know who my people are. I know the area where they're at. How do I touch them? It turns out in this area, they have this big car club, and that's where all the retired people go to. Guess what, partner? You better figure out how to get over to all the car club events and maybe even start sponsoring them. So that's really big. So who am I? Who are my people? How do I touch them? Now, if I were going to go wider on marketing, social media, fantastic. Inbound leads, if it's a buyer-based market, and there's a lot of great programs, whether it's Ylopo, Missions Inc., not Rockerbox, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Real Geeks. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. So you could do inbound leads. You could do direct mail. You could do cold calling, circle dialing. You could do open houses. I'm a huge fan of open houses, especially in those older markets. Oh, yeah. Open houses in older markets are just the business. 10-10-20s. I mean, there's so many neat things. Door knocking. But you got to figure that out. So who am I? Who are my people? How do I find them? Next is going to be who can help me? If I'm going out on my own, if you think you're just going to show up and start doing it all on your own, you're wrong. Who can help me? Now we get into the thing of affiliates. Who are my affiliates? I'll tell you, if you don't have a list of affiliates, you need to sit down and take the time to write out a list of affiliates because you need people in your corner that you can easily access, you can pass as information because ultimately you want to become the lead source. The lead source for information. People are starting to reach out to you because they know that you are a source of information for all things real estate. Man, my water heater just busted. Let me call Agent Kris. Agent Kris, what's going on? My water heater busted. Really? No problem. I got a guy. I got a girl. I got a company. This is the number. Tell them that I sent you over to them, and they'll take care of you. They're going to give you the Age of Kris discount or whatever your name is, whoever's watching this, right? Who are the affiliates? We'll start with the big ones and we'll work our way down. Okay. And really, affiliate lists are as creative as you want to be, but it should be all things real estate. So, escrow, title, lender, and I should probably do another video another day that explains how you can leverage these people or how they can help you with your business. But we'll keep going. So, escrow, title, lender. Okay. You're going to go into, you have your natural hazards people. You have dude, this is a big one for me, handymen, construction companies. So I go and hang out with a construction guy. He does a lot of spec builds because I have spec builds that come up, and I do construction loans. And I go out and I work out with him. We work out once a month, and he tells me, he fills me full of information so I can talk intelligently to different construction costs and stuff. So somebody in construction, somebody in manufactured homes, somebody that does lawn service or lawn care in a specific area for your potential client. What about lawn services? What about trash hauling? What about tree trimming, tree services? Like literally the list could go on. What about painters? What about windows and door jams? What about flooring? What about appliances? That's a big one. I get phone calls on appliances. My appliances, I want to replace my appliances. You have somebody that I can call. Yeah, I got an appliance person. What about? So let's start from the beginning. Who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Who are your people? How do you get a hold of your people and where do you find them? Who can help me? So your affiliates, create an affiliate database. And now, how long will it take me? So this is a big one. Have a plan. The people that I see fail when they leave a team or they leave a brokerage is they don't have a plan. They're just frustrated. Well, I'm just unhappy. I'm just mad. I'll show them. I'm just going to leave. You haven't set yourself up for any variation or form of success. Why would you do that? Sit down, come up with a plan, set a date. Look, on this day, I want to have this stuff in play. I need to make sure I start, prepping my brand. Who am I? What am I going to look like? I've written out all my affiliates and affiliate lists. I've started looking at what kind of inbound services I'm going to use and what my marketing material is going to be. In fact, I've already started a lot of my marketing in order to get it moving, get it going, start putting out who I am so people that are like me or that will like me will find me. And I set a date and I have a little bit of money set aside because guess what? All the lead sources and the place that you've been that's been making you money is going to go away. And then you're probably going to have a little bit of a hangover period. Could be 1 to 3 months, a little bit of a hangover period that you need to cover financially to make sure that you can completely transition to being your own thing. So anyways, I thought this was really cool. How do I start? Want to throw this together for you just because it was top of mind today. And I think it's extremely important. But that's all I got. Appreciate y'all. Do great things. Subscribe. I am doing, some material every week. Go check me out on Facebook. Of course, Kris McCullough, home buying, home selling, home loans. That's where I'm at. And I think, what a lot of people are starting to do, I have people calling me now kind of all over their hearing. I do loans in Florida. I do them in Texas. I do them in Arizona, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. Of course, I live in California, Colorado. So if you're in any of those markets, give me a call if you need a loan. And then what's really cool is if you live in a different state, we do a loan together. I'm getting ready to go out to Mesa with a really cool real estate agent. Once you get done with that loan, I'll come out and see you. We'll go and hang out and see how I can help you out with your business. That's all I got. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon.